I'd like to call the meeting of the North Providence Town Council to order. Please stand and salute the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. The first item on our agenda this evening is the acceptance of the meeting minutes from October 7th, 2014 to be accepted and approved by the council. I'll entertain a motion to accept and place on file.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 2, a notice was given of a public hearing to be held on this date in North Providence, Breeze, on November 5th, 2014, whereby the Town Council would consider and possible vote on the following proposed ordinance. Ordinance 14-005 is an ordinance amending Chapter 19, Article 10, Section 19 through 30 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of North Providence, entitled No Parking on Certain Streets, generally to provide for certain parking restrictions on McGuire Road in the Town of North Providence. Residential parking only at 17 McGuire Road in front of Tax Assessor Plat 21A, Lot 670. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the ordinance? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the ordinance? Hearing none, is there anyone here to speak against the ordinance? Is there anyone here to speak against the ordinance? Is there anyone here to speak against the ordinance? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 14-005.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Giusti, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item 3, liquor license. A notice was given of a public hearing to be held on this date in the Providence Journal, October 24th, 31st, 2014, for a BV full liquor license from 1838 Grill and Bar, LLC, DBA 1838 Bar and Grill, 1838 Smith Street, North Providence. Is there anyone here representing 1838 Grill and Bar? Good evening.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Town Council. My name is Steve Campo.
How are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so this is a new license. If you want to just tell us a little bit about your concept.
Sure. It is the former Chubby's Bar and Grill, located right next to the old DeBella's drugstore. It's now a strip plaza. And it's going to be a little bit more upscale. We're going to hopefully make it nice and be a place where people can just come and have a drink and a nice sandwich.
Okay. Do you have a menu? I didn't see a menu attached.
We
Do you
don't
have
at this
something?
time. We are going to submit one.
Say that again?
We haven't submitted it yet.
Okay. Let's see. There's a few spots on the application. I'll just ask you, and I'll put it in the motion as part of the requirements that are blank and they may not pertain. So if when you go in to actually pick up the license, if you would just go over that, if they're not applicable, just put that down.
Sure.
Are you going to be operating the business? You're the owner of the building, correct?
Correct.
And are you operating the business also as the license holder?
Yes.
Okay. And when do you plan on opening, or hoping?
We're hoping it's possible before the end of the year, but certainly, I would say definitely before Valentine's Day at the latest.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Campo? Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor or against the application? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the liquor license for 1838 Smith Street, 1838 Grill and Bar, LLC DBA 1838 Grill and Bar, subject to all the necessary requirements.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made by Councilman Juicy, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have two more.
Sure.
The Victualing license, the application for 1838 Grill and Bar, LLC, 1838 Bar and Grill. So the Victualing license, we're waiting for your menu.
Yes.
Okay. And
I
I believe the
talked to-
hours of operation.
I spoke to Troy in the clerk's office, and he reminded me to bring it in before I actually take possession of the license.
Okay.
Madam President?
Yes,
Yeah.
Councilwoman.
Are the hours 4:30 to 11 p.m. 4:30
4:30
p.m.
to, I believe, 1.
to 1? Okay, it wasn't really clear.
Is that every day?
7 days a week, yes.
7 days? Okay. Would you just note that on the Victualing application? Because I know it was a little unclear. So it's 4:30 to 1 a.m., 7 days. Okay. Any other questions? Are you cooking too?
Maybe once in a while I might.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to grant, subject to all necessary requirements.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made by Councilwoman Brady, seconded by Councilman Juicy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. And lastly, the entertainment license received from 1838 Grill and Bar, LLC, DBA 1838 Grill and Bar. Just tell us a little bit about your entertainment, please.
We have it's a small pub, so we're hoping to have in the corner where we can have perhaps one person singing or one person playing music, basically.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilwoman.
Yeah, I have a question about band. You have band written down. What do you mean by band? How many pieces to the band are you thinking about?
I think the most we could probably fit in there, I'm going to guess, is maybe 1 or 2 people.
Okay, because the sound that sometimes impacts the neighbors, you know, with multiple-piece bands, so I just wanted to have clarification
Right,
on that, plus the amplification of the instruments.
Right. I think I probably wrote band, but it's more of a, one person or two people. It's a very small place, and we'd be very conscious of our neighbors. Actually, there's not too many houses anyways that are close by, but we certainly would make sure that we adhere to any noise ordinances.
All right, well, thank you for being sensitive to that.
Sure.
Are you gonna be playing all types of music, like rock music, or more like Sinatra?
No, it probably would be more like Sinatra. It would probably be maybe a band, maybe 1 or 2 people on St. Patrick's Day, and at most maybe once a week.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve, subject to all the necessary requirements.
So moved.
I'm sorry, second.
A motion made by Councilwoman Brady, seconded by Councilman Juicy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Great. Thank you very much. You can go to the clerk's office with the requirements, pick up your licenses, and good luck.
Great,
Good luck.
thank you
See you
very
there.
much. Thank you all.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a liquor license transfer. A notice was given of a public hearing to be held on this date in the Providence Journal on October 28th and November 4th, 2014, for the transfer of a Class A liquor license from Loritos Incorporated, DBA Loritos Liquors of North Providence, 1974 Middle Spring Avenue, North Providence, to RP Liquors, DBA Loritos Liquors of North Providence, 1974 Middle Spring Avenue, North Providence. Is there anyone here this evening representing Laritos or RP Liquors? Good evening.
My name is Lauren Vandervelde. I'm here on behalf of Ramesh Patel.
Would you just be able to, whoever is speaking first, just speak into that microphone clearly, please?
I can.
What is your name?
Rinesh Patel.
Say it again.
Rinesh Patel.
Okay, on your way out, would you just sign in with the sheriff? Thank you. Okay, so you're here representing RP Liquors?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm assuming you're running the liquor establishment the same way? You're just making a purchase?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll
Have-
address myself.
Okay.
I'm Keith Larito, currently the owner of Larito Spirits.
Okay. Keith, let me just ask you a question. In the sale of the store, as one of the requirements, we'd like to make sure that all of the taxes are paid up for this up to date. So that will be one of the requirements.
Understood.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're
Is there anything else you would like to add or ask us? Usually it's pretty basic.
Pretty much, we went over it already. Troy and I had, quite extensive conversations about it. They're remaining the hours of operation the same that they are currently. They may open 1 hour earlier on Sunday from 11 to 6 instead of 12 to 6. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night. Other than that, we will be taking care of any taxes and any obligations. They're not assuming any of those obligations that were held by the store when I was the owner. We're going to clean it up and make sure everything's taken care of before that, definitely. We will be submitting the letter of good standing to the state. I'll be taking care of that application tomorrow.
Okay, great. Now, I don't know what the liquor laws are as far as hours of operation on a Sunday. I was assuming they were 12, but as long as they are 11, and...
They revised
Okay.
the hours. They made it 10 to 6 now on a Sunday, so we didn't increase the hours, but they may go the hour earlier.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions? Do you have anything that you would like to add, sir?
No, I just want to take an opportunity to do a good business.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to grant the liquor license transfer with all the necessary requirements.
Second.
A motion's been made by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilman Fiola. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Item number 7 on the agenda, a liquor license transfer. A notice was given of a public hearing to be held on this date in the Providence Journal on October 24th and 31st, 2014, for the transfer of a BV full liquor license from Treple LLC DBA Lucky Garden, 1852 Smith Street, North Providence, to Treple LLC DBA Lucky Garden, 1852 Smith Street, North Providence. Is there anyone here this evening representing Treple? Hi there, is it Treple or Treple?
It's tree people.
Who? Tree people? I apologize for the mispronunciation of that. Okay. Yes, sir.
Mark Bubin on behalf of...
You can take that microphone right out and speak into it, please. Right, yeah, thank you.
Mark Bubin on behalf of the transferee, Zhao Ying.
Oh, Sally Ng is my name.
And David Ursillo on behalf of the transferor for tree people.
Okay. Okay. Our attorney was just explaining this particular application, which was different than the previous one. So, the applicant, which I didn't get her first name, are you currently the owner?
I own Red Ginger in Johnston, but not Lucky Garden yet.
If I may explain.
Yes, please just take the microphone out and speak up. Who is the owner?
The current principal owner of the license is Edmund Restivo.
Okay,
Edmund Restivo is the majority owner of Treeple.
yep,
The majority owner of Treeple is selling his interest to Mrs. Ng. And when a majority owner of a liquor license changes, we come before the board seeking the board's approval of the transfer. The license itself will stay in the same name, but the owner of the company is changing.
so, the applicant is the new owner of the establishment?
Yes, Your Honor, the sale is subject to the transfer
Right.
of the license. So we would expect there to be a closing before month's end.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that she was the applicant that was before us.
Can I,
Okay.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman.
Maybe I'm dumb, but I don't understand this. It's going from one company to the same company?
Well, Mr. Restivo was the owner of the company, and he's transferring his shares to this young lady.
Plus the company
And
is transferring.
Well, he's sharing his interest. So when you share an interest, it has to come before the board for approval.
No, I understand that part. I just,
Yeah, in other words, what's happening is Restivo is transferring his shares to this woman, and the way the law works is that if you transfer more than 50% of the stock to the other person, you have to come before the licensing authority so they approve it.
I understand that, but the company is the same.
It's the company's the same because it's an internal stock sale. So the
Okay.
entity's gonna stay the same.
All right.
So
Now I
it's an internal stock sale, and then you have to make a determination if the person who's getting the shares is fit to have the license.
Okay, I understand.
To have the license. If
Yeah.
not, then you don't.
Yeah. All right.
No problem. That's why I explained it.
I don't think we've
We don't do
usually had that type.
It normally doesn't happen this way. Usually it's an asset transfer.
Yeah.
It's a whole
Right.
different entity that's gonna take over the company. But in this situation, it's just an actual sale of the stock. Everything else stays the same.
Right.
So it's just the transfer is allowed this way. It's just not a way it's normally seen, but it is allowed this way. Instead of
Right.
just selling assets, it's an actual sale.
Yep.
That's just-
She can own 100% after.
Now, is the applicant going to own 100% of Treeple?
She'll be the majority holder.
Okay. And let me just pull up the application. I didn't think I saw another owner on there.
I believe the application simply asks for the majority holder.
You have to speak up, sir. You have to speak up. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The BCI and criminal background check is conducted upon the majority holder of the liquor license. So Mrs. Ng will be the majority holder, and she went through the background check through the Town of North Providence Police and the Attorney General's office.
Okay, when she comes to pick up the license, if you, as the other owner, if it would just be listed on there also, if she's the majority owner, 51%, 49%, whatever the shares are, if you would just put that down on the application so we know who the other owners are, we would appreciate that. Okay?
Very good. Yes.
All right. Does anyone have any other questions?
I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. You're all set, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
I believe there's a second.
Yep,
Yeah.
for your victualling license. We received an application for the victualling license for the following: Triple LLC, DBA Lucky Garden, 1852 Smith Street, North Providence. I'll entertain a motion to grant, subject to all necessary requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Brady, seconded by Councilman Juicy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Let the record show Councilman Audiello is at the meeting. Item number 9, a liquor license transfer. A notice was given of a public hearing to be held this date in the Providence Journal on October 24th and 31st, 2014, for a transfer of a BV full liquor license from Dana's Lounge Incorporated, DBA Dana's Lounge, 1410 Rear Middle Spring Avenue, North Providence, to JL and Bowery Investment LLC, DBA Dana's Sports Lounge, 1410 Rear Middle Spring Avenue, North Providence. Is there anyone here representing Dana's or J&L?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Council President, members of the council. My name is John Manny. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, JL and Bowery Investments LLC, doing business as Dana Sports Lounge. Lisa Nasser is present with me. She is the the only member of that LLC. This property relates to 1410 Middle Spring Avenue, which is an ongoing concern, and it has been there operating as Dana's Lounge, I believe, for the last 34 years. The Cambria family operates that. In fact, Dana in the lounge is named after who works there. She is present, and her mother is present as well. My client is taking this opportunity to purchase the business, subject to a approval of the transfer, obviously. What she intends to do at the business is keep Dana and her mother and the manager, Armin, who's been there for over 30 years, on initially to help operate the business. Lisa is tip certified, Dana's tip certified. Dana's been there for 11 years as a bartender. Armin's been there, as I indicated, as a manager for 30 years. The plan is to make it more of a sports bar, increase some of the food that's being served. We're requesting the operation hours of 10 till 1 a.m., which I believe the BV allows. Presently, the hours are somewhat limited. I believe they're Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, 5 to 1, and Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. My client, in her business endeavor, is attempting to rejuvenate the business. It has had some financial issues over the past couple of years, but it's a long-standing establishment. We have filed a fictitious business name as well with the town and with the Secretary of State's office. Essentially, we've also applied for an entertainment license, seeking to be allowed to have karaoke, seeking to be allowed to have a DJ on occasion, as well as small bands. I know that Councilwoman Brady was concerned about the size of the band, and my client would be sensitive to that issue. I did speak to Dana. It's been a while since they've had bands, but apparently in the past they've had bands, and we're allowed to have them outside at different times. It wouldn't be any large band, but it would be something to try to kickstart the business again.
When you say outside, are you asking to have bands outside?
No, not at this point. What I'm saying is in the
Okay.
past, I understand they had it. They may have had to make a special request for that,
Okay.
to expand it or whatever. That wouldn't be on the agenda right now.
Okay.
In addition to that, they are planning on doing a facelift inside, essentially, and maybe doing some work to the kitchen area to kind of get that up to speed. So that's essentially the business plan, and we ask for your approval at this time.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? The only thing, which I say to everyone, just like the last transfer, the any of the taxes that are owed for the transfer. I don't know if there's a sale in any of those taxes, but it is changing from Dana's to J&L.
Yes.
That those taxes be paid current before the transfer is made.
Understood.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, if there's no other questions? No?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, a motion made by Councilman Fiola, seconded by Councilman Warren. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. I'll just make another motion that, with all the necessary requirements. So I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Audiello, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, now your victualling license. We received the application for the victualling license for J.L. and Bowery Investments, LLC, DBA Dana Sports Lounge. Same kind of approval. I'm assuming you're having food there. Hours of operation the same, 10 to 1.
Yes. The only thing, if I could, I would actually ask for an amendment. Apparently on the paperwork, there's a section that has a date that the license is supposed to continue in full force until, it erroneously says May 1st of 2014. I believe that should be 2015. So if we could make that amendment, I'd certainly appreciate it.
All right, would you make that, no, Clark, would you make that note too? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve, subject to all necessary requirements.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made by Councilwoman Brady, seconded by Councilman Audiello. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. And next is your entertainment license for J&L Bowery Investments, LLC, 1410 Middle Spring Avenue. Mr. Manning already went over what type of entertainment he's having. It's inside, not outside, and trying to rejuvenate the business. I'll entertain a motion to approve, subject to all necessary requirements.
Second.
A motion made by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President.
And good luck.
Thank you, members of the council.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
You're welcome, beautiful girl.
That made it work. I think that lawyer's forgetting his coat. What's that guy's name, Manny?
Excuse me.
David, is that someone's coat right there? Okay. It's cold. Have a good night. Item number 14, Foxfield LLC property. We received a letter from Mayor Charles Lombardi concerning the bid to purchase property located in the town of North Providence between Plimpton and Pear Streets, currently designated as lots 197 through 217, 246, 258, 259, and 319 through 331 on tax assessor plat 21A. Is Mayor Lombardi here? Oh, I'm sorry, it was item number 12, not 14. No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to pass off the agenda. I don't see the mayor here this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Continue with the next meeting? Make a
If-
motion to continue.
If he wants to.
I'll make a motion to continue the next meeting.
All right, do you want to rescind the motion?
I'll make a motion to rescind the previous motion.
No, you don't have to. It didn't vote, so you can just rescind it. You can
Okay.
take back your motion, and if you want to make a motion, it's up to you.
So you want to continue?
Just put it, continue the next month.
All right, so let's make the motion.
Make a motion to continue the next
Is there,
regular council meeting.
is there a second? A motion has been made and seconded to continue. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 13, we received a communication from Melinda Smith concerning a facilities proposal to be presented by Louis Tirado. I do see Mr. Tirado here in the audience. How are you tonight? And Superintendent Smith, if you'd like to come forward, please.
Madam President, members of the Town Council, my name is John McNamee. I'm the chairman of the School Building Committee. I'm obviously not Melinda Smith. And I'm also the, thanks. I'm also the Director of Finance for the schools. Before Tirado Architects does their presentation, I just want to let you know how we got to this process. It was approximately 2 years ago when we were working on, probably in November of 2012, when we were working on the budget for 6/30/14. And as you know, we have 9 buildings. We have a high school, 2 middle schools, and 6 elementary schools. And what was noticeably absent from the budget was any expenditures for capital improvements on an ongoing basis. Oftentimes they were put in the budget, but obviously due to the constraints within the town and the schools, those items were voted out of the budget. So accordingly, when we were looking at trying to see what we needed to improve the schools, we had no idea what the total cost would be. So what we did was the school committee approved a facilities assessment study, which was approved in the 6/30/14 budget. That money was out of monies that we had set aside for capital reserve. As part of that process, we sent out an RFP looking for architects who could help us do a facilities assessment of all our school buildings. The winner of that bid was Tirado Architects, who are here tonight to do that presentation. As part of this process, because as we're dealing with any improvements on the schools, we have to work very closely with RIDE, because what happens is we're trying to get housing aid money. Housing aid money is going to be reimbursed to the town at about 58%. So basically, whatever we spend on school building improvements, it's going to cost the town roughly 40 cents on the dollar. So this process is pretty much lined out by RIDE, outlined by RIDE. And as part of that, we needed to form a building committee. That building committee consists of 13 members. I chair the committee. We have representatives from the school committee, representatives from the school administration. We have representatives from the town council. We have representatives from the town administration. And we also have members of the general public that are on that committee. We have a few members that had served on previous building committees, for example, the building of the high school, so we have some history on those committees as well, which is good. The first order of that committee was to select the architects, which we have, and the first, and basically that assignment to the architects was to be able to do a facilities assessment study, which is basically going through the buildings and outlining what all the issues are in the buildings. Once we receive that report, the next phase, and then that stage 1 application gets submitted to RIDE. So we submit everything to RIDE. RIDE says, okay, you can move ahead on the next phase. The next phase is then taking all the issues that are in the buildings and trying to assign some dollar amounts to it, but also putting together a plan that would address all the needs in all the school buildings. And we went through probably 10 to 15 iterations, and during that process, and I know many of you had attended those meetings, they were open meetings, we met with RIDE, and the rules kept changing, because I think there was a lot of demands for a lot of school districts for building improvements. So there's a lot of competition for this housing aid money. As a result, what you're going to see tonight is the completion of about a year's worth of meetings and work, much of it certainly performed by Tirado and Associates, and it's a plan which we believe is affordable, It's a plan which RIDE believes that they can approve based on the numbers that are being presented. And what we hope to do is to use this plan to pursue stage 2 of that application. And after Toronto Architects does their presentation, I'd like to just come back and talk a little bit about the timeline and a little bit more about housing aid and how that's going to work, because the next 7 months are going to be critical in order for this project to be successful one way or the other, which also includes obviously going to the voters for a bond approval.
Thank you.
So at this point, I'd like to introduce...
I just have a question, just
Sure.
so everyone, I know Councilman Lynch and myself were at many of the meetings. I just want my council to know the process. So tonight, you're here for discussion. You'll show us what Mr. Tirado has come up with as all the options have been vetted out, which were several. Then you go back to the school committee for approval, and then you come back to the council for approval?
Well, we have a meeting tomorrow evening, which we're presenting we're looking for the final approval on this plan to go forward. Now, obviously, we don't have the complete design of all the schools, but we have an overall plan in place as to where we're going to spend the money and how we're going to spend it. In terms of, and we're working obviously in designing some of those changes to the schools that we're proposing. And RIDE is obviously involved in this process as well. What we're attempting to do is, what we need from the town council would be the enabling legislation submitted to our General Assembly so that they, once RIDE approves the Stage 2 application, we can get that legislation approved by the General Assembly. The problem is, and as many of you know, the housing aid, there's a moratorium on that until May 1st. So we could go to RIDE right now, and they would grant us all the money, approve the application for any health and safety. The problem is that we have 3 elementary schools that were built in the 1930s, and we just can't spend enough money on improvements on those schools. It's a situation where RIDE doesn't want us to put any money into those, and they wouldn't allow us to get housing aid to fund those. So we're looking at new construction, and new construction comes under that moratorium. So we have to wait until May 1st when the moratorium is lifted. Last year, when we were dealing with RIDE on the Stage 1 application, it was kind of a surprise that that moratorium was put into place. They thought that that was going to be lifted by the end of last year. So that was put into place. What RIDE has agreed to do is to foster this Stage 2 application through the process, and by the time the Board of Education lifts the moratorium, or the General Assembly has a time frame for the lifting of that moratorium, which is May 1st, we would be able to submit that application to the Board of Education for approval at the May meeting. The General Assembly wouldn't act on any enabling legislation until such time as they receive an approved application from the Board of Education.
So when are you looking for approval from the council?
Well, we're hoping that we could at least introduce the enabling legislation as early as possible. And also we certainly need to talk with our General Assembly representatives as well to discuss this plan. We also want to put together a program where we're going to be able to communicate this to the taxpayers, and because ultimately they're going to have the final vote in terms of this particular bond issue.
And we do have 2 representatives here, just so you know. They were reached out to, Representative Corvasi and O'Brien, and I did speak with Senator Ruggiero today, and he apologized he couldn't come, but he has an open door policy if there were any questions that you needed to go through before.
Right, and I apologize. We weren't intending to invite him to this meeting. We were going to do a session to meet with them individually, but it was decided to at least invite him to this meeting. So that enabling legislation, once it's introduced, we have to wait until we get the right approval. Now, with Governor-elect in there, we don't know what's going to happen with the housing aid. You know, ideally, they would at least lift that moratorium. That moratorium's been in place for almost 4 years. There's a pent-up demand for housing aid money. The city of Providence is looking for like $250 million. Pawtucket, I believe, just got $45 million for just health and safety. They have roofs that are in bad shape, and so that was easily approved for health and safety. But any new construction is got to wait until this moratorium is lifted. So once the enabling legislation is in there and we're able to get, and what RIDE has told us is they would give us a letter of a commitment once they've approved that application, subject to the moratorium being lifted. And we believe that we need to be in a position to do that so that we're able to get that housing aid money, which is very important to this project. I mean, we're talking about, you know, if we're looking at $75 million worth of improvements to these schools, it's going to cost us about $30 million. I mean, so it's, I think, significant to the town in terms of being able to do this project, but it's also going to put the town in a position where we're not going to have to spend any money going forward on these schools with the amount of money, because we're going to be touching every school at this point in time. Not only are we looking at some new construction, we're also looking at putting monies into the high school, into the middle schools, into some of the elementary schools that are not going to be new construction as well. And you'll see that this evening.
Question?
So we'll go over some of the other finances, maybe in another meeting. So tonight we can go over the architectural portion of it, and then I know that we'll have another meeting, even if we have to do a special meeting for the financial end of it, if that's okay.
Yeah, and I think we're certainly in a position to discuss that. I mean, I've gone through the numbers. I've talked with the financial advisors for the town. I've got debt service schedules on these. I've got projected bond interest rates. You know, the town, certainly the interest rates are at an all-time low right now, so it's an opportune time to borrow. We have a fair amount of debt service that's coming offline. The North Providence High School bond is paid off as of November. The deficit reduction bonds get paid off in July of 15. So there's a fair amount of debt service that's being freed up. And certainly we're not looking for all that debt service, but I think that we can get a portion of that debt service and be able to do this project, as well as getting the state to contribute almost 60 cents on the dollar for these improvements. So
Do you mean the town's deficit reduction plan, the one that we
the
pay on right now for like
10.5 million that
2.3?
was borrowed back in 2010.
Okay, so there's one coming due from the school department, and then the town's deficit reduction plan. So you're looking to incorporate some of that along with the school bond that's maturing, that, or being paid off.
Right, the North Providence High School bond should be paid off. That was a 20-year bond, and I believe that that was 1995, so that's
So that's
paid off.
November of 15?
Right. No, that's November 14. That's
14,
paid,
okay.
I believe, this month. July of 15 is the last payment on the deficit reduction bond.
Yep, okay. Councilman Juicy, you had a question?
John, what happens if the moratorium isn't lifted? I mean,
Well-
what's your
I was saving that for you to ask.
what's your backup plan? I mean,
Well, there is certainly some health and safety in there. The problem is that, and we could move along with some of those health and safety issues at the schools. The problem is that we couldn't really use, in the 1930 buildings, which we're talking about Stephen Only, Maryville, and McGuire, we really couldn't use any of that money for health and safety because those need to be replaced. There needs to be new construction. So that's going to be an issue, certainly, on that. I just feel as though that this is going to be the 4th year of the moratorium. I don't think with the condition of the schools around the state that they could really extend that. But obviously, you know, there's there's a new governor in town, and, she has a plan to try to fund housing aid. So she's looking at a revenue source to help to fund housing aid. Right now, the budget annually is, I think, $75 to $80 million of housing aid money that goes to fund debt service requirements. So they're talking that would support somewhere around $1.8 billion in projects. But as I talk to many of the districts around the state, there's a pent-up demand for.
But I'm saying, do you have a backup plan in case that happens? So that we can do something with those 3 buildings?
Well, the backup plan, the problem is that, we've done everything that we need to do to continue to keep those buildings going at this point in time. For example, this year, we had a lot of pressure from the fire marshal to put in fire alarms, so we were able to accomplish that last year, and to the tune of about $360,000, which we used out of our capital reserve. This year, we're borrowing on some of our future housing aid for the high school roof. We had to spend $500,000 on the high school roof just to do a section of that roof. We need probably another $1 million to finish that roof, and that would be incorporated in the in the new plan. But that one we're going to have to think about in terms of how we're going to be able to accomplish that. We can spend some of that money on health and safety. We'd have to carve out as much of that health and safety as we can in those buildings, but they can't continue to prolong the moratorium because these buildings just they're not meant to last as long as they have at this point in time. So.
Thank you.
All right. So at that point, I'll turn it over to Louis Torado and Brian O'Connell from Torado Associates.
Thank you. Hi, gentlemen. How are you tonight?
Good evening. My name is Louis Torado. I'm president of Torado Architects. With me is Brian O'Connor. He's the vice president of our office. As John mentioned, we've been working on stage 1 and 2 for a little bit over a year. The Rhode Island Department of Education breaks down the school construction process into 4 phases. The first phase is an investigation phase. So we look at adequacy issues, the ability of your current buildings to deliver the educational program. We look at your plant conditions, roofs, windows, mechanical systems. We also investigate how you are in compliance with all current codes, building, fire, ADA. What we found was fairly typical of what you would find in most school communities in Rhode Island, in that schools go through wear and tear and materials only have a certain lifespan. So it's fairly typical of what we see in most communities. However, in North Providence, the adequacy issues that were most concerning were identified in your 1930 elementary school buildings, Maryville, McGuire, and Olney. The Rhode Island Department of Education office also visited the sites, and they concurred with our findings that we should focus our project on the elementary school adequacy issue. Excuse me. So we submitted stage 1, it was approved, and we moved on to do stage 2. Stage 2 is when you look at the options of addressing the issues identified during stage 1. The first 2 alternatives that we did was a comparison of whether it made more sense to renovate the existing buildings or to build new. And in the case of the 1930 buildings, it was found that it made much more economic sense to build new instead of trying to renovate them. We actually looked at 18 options of different ways of addressing the deficiency. All along, we worked with the building committee, the school department, and of course the Rhode Island Department of Ed. They wanted us to clearly understand that they needed the focus to be at the elementary school level. They also thought that the overall project cost should be around $70 million. And there were two other important goals that we were to meet. Because of the increasing enrollment at the elementary school levels, they wanted to add a 13th track to the 12 existing elementary school tracks that you have. And they also would like to be able to decommission Maryville School as soon as possible. So working with the planning department here in the city, we looked at options of buildable land in the area. And the only ones identified was actual school sites that exist. So we focus on the McGuire Elementary School and also on Olney Elementary School. The 1930 elementary schools each have 2 tracks in them. So if we want to close those 3 down, we need to replace them with 6 tracks. So what we're proposing is to build 2 new elementary schools, each with 3 tracks, and to get the additional 13th track by adding on to Greystone.
So you'll be closing Maryville, McGuire, and adding on to Stephen Only and Greystone?
No, we will be building an elementary school, a new elementary school at Olney, at McGuire, and at McGuire. So 2 new elementary schools. And we will
Okay.
be adding on to Greystone for the
So
13th track.
Maryville will be closing.
Exactly.
Okay, so McGuire would be add-on, Stephen Only add-on. Okay.
It really is an add-on, it's a new building. So then the challenge then becomes is how do we build new buildings on existing sites while maintaining the existing building in operation? Because the only other option to that is to relocate these students to another facility or to trailers or figure out where to put them while we tear down the building and build a new. So we've come up with a 2-phase construction approach to the design and construction of these 2 new buildings. Brian, if you would go to the next one.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman. Councilman Juicy has a
Toronto.
question for you.
When you build the 2 new schools on the same sites,
Yes.
and what happens to the site where Maryville School is? Are we going to build a building there?
No, there's no proposed new construction for that. I guess that the city can sell the property or it could be redeveloped for another purpose. But, okay, Brian, if you can please point out the footprint of the existing building. So, that dotted line represents the existing building. What we propose to do is do a 2-phase project. The first phase is everything that you need to operate the 3-track elementary school. You'll have all the classrooms, you'll have the cafeteria, the offices, all that. And that we identified in the white area. So just to orient you a little bit, the front of the building is that street.
And what
then-
street is the front?
Brian, can you see what, right here? Yeah, you may not see it. So the existing building is this area here, this is the front. And is it here, okay?
Yeah.
So the challenge is to leave this building out while we construct this building. And this building has everything that you need to operate the school. So when we build this building, once the students move from the existing building into the new building, we tear down the existing building, build a music room, art room, and a gymnasium, and then all of the other site work is done. Of important concern to the designer of all of this is how it's all phased, but also eventually how we're going to have separate bus drop-off areas, separate parent drop-off areas, plenty of playground area, and
question again, Madam.
Yes, Councilman.
Parking, where's the parking for the teachers? That's going to be a parking lot for the teachers?
That's correct.
Because we got a serious problem over there with parking.
We are aware of this, and in all of the schemes, we address both of those concerns. As John pointed out, it's important to know that we are at the very preliminary of design, so it's very conceptual. We plan to come back and have a lot more detailed plans. We will show you what the outside will look like. We'll have virtual tours and renderings of all of these designs. But the first step to move forward is the concept and the budget that we've come up with. So on the other school, only school, it's a similar scheme. The existing area of the building is the one that Brian's pointing out to. Then the first phase would build the wide area of the building, so that would be the first phase. And then we would come back, tear down the existing building, and build the gray area of the building. And then do all of the site work, the playground, parent drop-off areas, bus drop-off areas. So that takes care of replacing the 6 existing tracks. We add the additional track to the Greystone building. This is the existing bus drop-off area of the building. The front of the building is located here. And what we propose is adding on at this time, both sides of the building, so that we accommodate the additional track for that building. The other issue that we're studying is to improve the circulation of the school by adding the school around the building that will alleviate the congestion for parent drop-off and accommodate that. One of the things that the Department of Ed wanted us to look at is maybe not adding a two-prong addition, but just to have one. So we've been looking, and we'll come back with more defined plans. Now, so one of the benefits of this design is that we build the space for the additional track, but we don't use it for that purpose right away because we're still operating the other schools. So the benefit of doing this right at the beginning of the project is that this lets you close down the Maryville School right away. As soon as this addition is completed and this renovation, we'll be able to move those students into that. And then the other part of the project is renovations at all of the buildings. At the end of this process, you won't have any leaking roofs, you won't have any problems with boilers, you won't have any fire alarm issues. All of the immediate needs of every one of the schools will be addressed within the cost. And we estimate the cost, including escalation or professional costs and contingency, to be $75 million.
What is the margin of error on that?
And I believe that we have a 3% escalation cost per year, and we have about a 10% contingency, a design contingency into that.
The 75 million includes E and C?
Excuse me?
The 75 million includes all your E and C?
Everything.
Okay.
It's everything. New furniture, all turnkey equipment, yes.
How about bid packages? How are you going to package this?
We've talked about getting a construction manager involved, which will, I think it's ideal in projects
And
where
the
it's
construction manager's cost is in that 75 million too also,
Exactly.
right, Louis? Okay.
Yes, yes. And so there'll be a construction management company that first of all allows fast tracking to take place so that we can start doing foundations right away at Greystone while we're still designing the new elementary schools, and so that process can start very quickly. And when you have multiple sites to manage, we think that the construction manager will be the best approach.
These all critical path type projects?
Yes.
How long will it take from when you first put the shovel in the ground, for example, at Greystone, to put the addition on?
We expect Greystone to be occupied in September of 2016.
Okay,
When will you
and the
start
other
it?
schools?
The other schools, the first phase will be occupied in September of 2017. The second phase about 8 months after that.
Okay, thank you. When, well, from when you get approval, you'll know when you can start, from when you are
Right,
able
so,
to get
so,
approval
so,
from RIDE.
so if the voter approval happens in June, we're moved to be able to move very quickly to finalize the drawings and go out to bid.
Okay, thank you.
It also gives us two to 3 summers to complete all of the schools' renovations in the other schools during summer months without disrupting those activities.
So these are preliminary. We'll probably be seeing you again with some final drawings
Which
before they're...
much more developed drawings,
Okay.
the rendering, so people have a really good idea of what it's going to look like, exactly what's included. It's just that the Department of Ed has you do it in stages, so that we
Yep.
go so far here, then they want us to do some more.
That's
But we'll be
fine.
back and share all our development with you.
Does anyone have any other questions?
John, were you going to come back to, or did you come?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have one quick question. The land that was going to build a middle school, we're not doing a middle school anymore, it's just strictly the elementary schools, right? That, because I know there was a lot of talk about doing a middle school, elementary schools. Is that middle school in any future plans you're doing, or are you just strictly sticking with the elementary schools right now?
Well, the way we're doing it now, if we look at a 10-year time frame,
Yep.
we do have the option of doing a combined middle school. Initially, what we wanted to do was have one middle school so we could have a set curriculum in the middle schools as opposed to having 2 separate middle schools. Now, that educationally made some sense, but when we ran the numbers on that, it was well out of the budget range. So what we're doing now is we could take some of the middle schools, for example, like at Birchwood, and convert that back to an elementary school and potentially close and build a new middle school, and also be able to close maybe one additional elementary school at some point in the future. But there's no way that we could afford to do that particular project. So if you look at a 10-year plan, that could be in there, but at this point in time, you know, it's not something that we're anticipating.
Okay.
So.
Yes,
So-
Councilman Lynch, do you have a question?
I don't have a question. I would just like to say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, that we worked with Superintendent Smith, members of the school committee. This has been a very interesting process. It brought everybody together. We met morning, noon, and night for many days, and it took a long time. And Lewis and his associate here, they went through a lot of battle scars. They came up with a lot of different variations, you know, because every neighborhood had their own little situation, and Lewis addressed it. And then we found out financially that where we started from to where we are now is a substantial reduction. And even though it's a substantial reduction and the money is on hold, we still have to move forward.
Right.
So that being said, I want to say thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
the
you.
opportunity to present this.
Does anyone have any other questions? Great. Thank you for your presentation, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Sure we'll be seeing you soon. Yes, if you'd like to come. You can come forward, yes.
And thank you to Mr. Billy Floriani
Right.
for all your input.
Thank you.
Just say your name.
William G. Floriani, 6 Hickory Road, North Providence. I'm here tonight to bolster their plan and say I totally approve it. Well, in retrospect, I would love to see a lot different plan put up, because this is not the ideal plan. But having said that, I just want to let you know that if we don't do this, we're going to wind up with third world country schools. And in a country of this size, it's absolutely it's an abomination. We build brand-new schools in Afghanistan. We build them in Iraq. We spend billions to build schools in third world countries to get them out of their doldrums. But yet, here in this United States, we're saying, no kids, the message we're sending to you is, we want you to have third world schools. This is how important this plan and this thing is to this town. We need to get it done. We need your approval. We need, the mayor is already on board. We need our legislators to back us up. We need the moratorium lifted. Unfortunately, our legislators weren't notified ahead of time. We need their support. We need all the legislators' support, because there's more towns that are in need of work in this state and in this country than we'll ever imagine. And I mean, it's totally disconcerting to find out that we got schools that are absolutely uninhabitable, to be perfectly honest. We need to get this done. So I just want to get that out to tell you that there is an urgency. It's not something we can wait on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Floriani. Yes, absolutely.
Arthur J. Corvese, 234 Lexington Avenue. I'm the state representative from District 55. I'm here with Representative O'Brien. I know that Senator Ruggiero had a previous commitment. As Mr. Floriani stated, we were told about this yesterday, and Representative O'Brien and I are very pleased to be here to listen to these plans and the need for some improvements in the infrastructure of the educational system of the town. I would like to suggest, and again, I hope I'm not throwing a red herring into your process, Mr. McNamee, but I think it would be efficacious, if nothing else, for a meeting of representatives of the committee, the 3 reps from North Providence and the 5 senators, to sit down. It would be nice to do it in advance of the first of the year, where we could get an opportunity to vet everything that they've already gone through, because I think I can speak for Representative O'Brien and myself that we really aren't familiar with what's been going on. There's been a lot of work done. Councilman Lynch alluded to the fact that apparently there's been yeoman's work here, and that's very good for the people of the town, but since the legislature at some point is going to have to put its signature to this, I think it would be appropriate for a meeting probably in advance of the first of the year so that we could know what's going on, and I think we're probably going to want to vet it from a different aspect, from the legislative aspect and what we have to look at. I mean, everyone's going to be concerned about balancing the educational efficacy against the financial responsibility that the town is going to incur. But I think that it would be important for the legislators to get together with members of the committee, and also I'd like to see at least a couple of members of the council and the school committee at that meeting when the legislators are there. Because I'm sure that, and I know Representative O'Brien, just in casual conversation here, brought up a number of good points. You know, the moratorium is a serious problem. There are also some other problems that we were discussing. So I would just throw that out to Mr. McNamee and Superintendent, Council, and any of the school committees so that we could get together at an appropriate time. And I'd like to see a block of time. I'm not looking for an hour or 2. I'm probably looking for 3 or 4 hours to go through everything, because we're unfortunately going to ask some questions about why we are where we are, how we got here, and we're going to probably ask some of the questions you've already answered, which is, well, why can't we do this? Explain to us why we can't do this. Because we have to have all that knowledge when we're trying to plead the case for the town. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I'm looking forward to any communication, certainly in advance of 24 hours, where we can get together, and thank you.
Thank you. The school department, I have to commend, they're very good with communication. We always get the emails, the notices there, so as long as we communicate with the representatives, I'll look forward to that next meeting. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda, too, for all your hard work. Item number 14, federal forfeiture money and equitable sharing. I'd like to have a short discussion and a vote on spending the federal forfeiture money in the equitable sharing program. I'll wait until everyone leaves, or... I actually bring good news here tonight for the council and the town of North Providence and the residents. I found out shortly after the election, as you all may know, that before the election, September 22nd, there was a media blitz on Channel 10 and 12 talking about how the police department couldn't purchase their vehicles because of the freeze on the federal forfeiture money. What I did find out after the election, that there was an email from the Department of Justice, and they actually authorized it. So if that had gotten to us before the election, it would have been great. I would have liked the same media coverage that it got when we didn't have the money to pay, but the money was there all along. And all it took was a phone call. And the phone call and an email says, as long as the council, the mayor, and the chief have a joint consensus on the purchase of the vehicles, they will make an exception and release that money. And the reason why they will do that is because we had the money all along. The money was approved in an approved spending plan before the Department of Justice, and I repeat, the Department of Justice froze the money when we questioned the governing body. So I'm very happy to say that I know there is a letter out there. I have it in an email dated October 8th. And I think we're all in favor of wanting to get this money working for us. And I know we're all in favor of wanting to look through the windshield and not the rearview mirror at this issue. So I'd like to entertain a motion this evening to authorize, which there is a letter, the chief of police has the letter, to authorize the joint consensus of this council and the mayor to sign that letter and send it to the Department of Justice so they can release the money and we can pay for those vehicles that we have sitting in the police department.
So moved. Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Certainly.
How are we this evening? My name's Raymond DeStephanis.
Good evening.
Good evening. I think it's great. The news is incredible. Thank you for, contacting the Justice Department. Can the public be made available that email?
Say that once again.
Can the email that's dated October 8th be made public?
I'm sure you could ask the chief if you wanted to.
So the
I
chief-
didn't bring it to the meeting this evening.
So he received the email.
He received the email, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And the other good news is that the Department of Justice is organizing a meeting so they can come here to North Providence to meet with the council, the chief, and the mayor, so they can answer any questions we might have. We know that the money is frozen, and there's just a lot of questions that haven't been answered. They offered that meeting several months ago, which we weren't aware of. I think we would have taken them up on the opportunity to have that joint meeting several months ago, but that's what the Department of Justice told me. So I told them that I would commit to getting those dates out which I do have correspondence back that they're working on those dates, and I will commit having the police chief, whether it's our current police chief, if he's still here, or an acting police chief, and the mayor, to have that joint meeting. So I will commit to those dates, getting those dates to everyone to finalize some sort of meeting. Yes, sir. Well, when I bring your items up, you can address us on that, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, please.
When we get to your items, Mr. Lombardi, I'll let you go over all of them, okay? Thank you. Yes. I'm going to skip items number 15, 16, and 17 for right now. That's just some housekeeping for me to go over. Item number 18, the sealer of weights and measures. We received proposal for equipment needed from the North Providence sealer of weights and measures from Vito Martinelli as follows. The weights are approximately $775. The stickers are approximately $250. A 5-gallon stainless steel test measure approximately $670. Mass lab biannual calibration approximately $400. So the total cost is approximately $2,075. Vito Martinelli is here this evening. He'd like to address the council to answer any questions.
Thank you, Madam President.
Good evening.
Vito Martinelli, 84 Locust Avenue. I'm here with the Deputy Sealer as well, Mr. Salvatore Ianero, and
Good, how are you tonight?
we would answer any questions, any concerns that the council has about this proposal. Briefly, we've been through several sealer weights and measures over the last 5 years or so. Some equipment got broken along the way. Some equipment just got missing. The former sealer weights and measures did meet with the state. They went over everything that was needed in order to continue the job. Unfortunately, the old sealer weights and measures, or the most recent one that stepped down, never got a chance to get the equipment. I met with the town clerk, spoke with the state sealer weights and measures. He actually already knew all the equipment that we needed because he was with the former sealer weights and measures, and they already went over all the equipment, and all we did was, the clerk can testify to it, all we did was transfer the information that we were given by the state already as to what we were missing, and then we presented the proposal to the council.
We did look at this in the Finance Committee several months ago before you were here. So for the most part, we were aware that most of the equipment was at a deficiency. So thank you for taking the time to looking what we need. I know you were frugal doing it because there was some much higher cost than this, and there was some lower costs too, but that was for possibly used equipment, and I know you've done this before,
Yes.
so I know you'll keep it in
And
good condition.
I do make this, you know, I know it's an expenditure for the council, but I know that some money was put aside. I don't know if we came a few hundred under or over, but I know we were close with the money as far as you were expecting to spend on this. So there was only one additional piece of equipment that had to do with grams. That was an additional few $100s that we needed to do jewelry stores, and that was the only extra piece of equipment that we needed. So we, you know, I went and got recertified with the state. I got everything up to code. The deputy seal is ready to go, and we're looking forward to get on the job. It's been a 6-month process, so you know the state has been filling in and continues to fill in until we get out there. And once we get the equipment, the approval from the council, the equipment will go directly to the clerk's office. He will order it. From what I understand, the equipment will go directly to the clerk's office, and we'll sign off for it, that we have it, so that we'll be able to track this equipment better. That was one of the suggestions I made. So if we do lose something or something gets broken, there'll be better records in the future for that. So that's a concern that we addressed. And, you know, I just appreciate the council appointing a sealer of weights and measures and a deputy sealer. You know, my plan is to, you know, get him up and running, and it's been, you know, like I said, 6 months minimum. So, you know, we want to get going as soon as we can.
Great. Any other questions?
Make a motion that we approve the purchase of this equipment.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd also like to make a second motion that the money for approval is coming out of the, one of the budget line items for the council, because I know that they will ask us, and I don't want anything to hold it up, so I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
A motion has been made by Councilwoman Brady, seconded by Councilman Fiola. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good luck.
Item number 19, Councilwoman Brady requests a discussion and a vote regarding traffic concerns for Rosner Avenue and the neighboring streets and the hiring of an engineer to assess the streets in this area. Councilwoman Brady?
Thank you, Madam President. I want to update the council on this matter. Last month, we called a special town council meeting to address the residents' concerns about tractor-trailer trucks traveling through the neighborhood and the safety implications that they present for the neighbors. We addressed a letter to the mayor as the Director of Public Safety, and that letter was hand-delivered by the council president to the mayor's office and was subsequently lost. So another letter was delivered to the Chief of Staff, Mr. Fossa, who answered us by saying that the administration could not find any additional documents pertaining to the zoning decision. The zoning director received the same letter, and we received a response from her stating that expansion of use is not permissible. So without the support of the administration, the council president and I moved forward with the request of the residents. We walked 2 engineers through the neighborhood to assess if the streets are in fact conducive to tractor-trailer trucking. And I would just like to reiterate at this point that at the recommendation of the police department, posting a no-through trucking sign would just be a Band-Aid for this very serious issue. We feel confident that by walking with the engineers through the neighborhood, that gave them, bless you, practical insight about this situation. We have received 3 quotes from companies that are on the state's master price agreement. Therefore, the purchasing agent, along with the public safety director, should be able to move forward expeditiously on this matter. I make a motion to send a letter to the purchasing director with the 3 proposals for the traffic study and to ask him to send a written communication back to the town council with the name of the company selected and the cost within 5 business days so that we may authorize payment from the town council's budget.
Second. So moved.
A motion has been made by Councilwoman Brady, seconded by Councilman Warren. Any further discussion?
Is that just a question on that? Is that possible to get it back in 5 days, or get a bid back in 5 days?
Well, it's coming from the master price agreement, so it doesn't go out to bid. He just selects one, and all of the data, all of the information on the 3 companies is enclosed with the packet that I gave everyone here.
Yep, okay.
Good job. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All of those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good job.
And thank you, residents, for coming out again.
Yeah, thank you. Did you have anything to say? We'll keep you posted.
We will.
As we do. Okay, thank you. Item number 20, the Lymansville land. Councilman Audiello requests a discussion and a vote concerning the beautification of land in the Lymansville section.
I'm going to make a motion to continue this item until next month. The constituents that I've been working on this with cannot make it tonight.
The second.
A motion has been made and seconded. All of those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. I do have to move one other item up on the agenda, and then we'll hear Mr. Lombardi. It's the item number 32. It's our Financial Audit Committee reports. I know, I'm moving item number 32. Item number 32 is next, and it's for the town council discussion and action with regard to the Financial Audit Committee reports and minutes. Those reports do reflect the attorney that the recommendation of the Audit Committee would like to hire, and we are fortunate enough to have that attorney here this evening, so he would, in the minutes, the attorney, John Lamont, will come up and introduce himself also. So, Councilman Lynch?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the council. In front of you here, you have your minute meetings from the Financial Audit Committee dated 11/10/14. And in these minutes, it was discussed to pay Manzanillo and Calabro, and it was also, we took a roll call vote on that, and also it was discussed to hire John Lamont, who was with us tonight, for legal representation to the Audit Committee. In legal representation to the Audit Committee, a number of different issues come in front of the Audit Committee, and there's a lot of very confidential information that comes along with this committee, and that is one of the reasons why we have to hire Mr. Lamont. So with that being said, I make a motion to accept these minutes as presented, and then when we're through, hear from Mr. Lamont, please.
Second.
A motion has been made by Councilman Lynch, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it with one nay, Councilman Fiola being the nay. Mr. Lamont, if you would like to come forward, please. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll have to pick that up and speak loudly into that microphone.
Pull it right out. That's it.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Town Council. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I just wanted you to introduce yourself to the committee, let them know anything, a little bit of your resume if you'd like, just so they know who you are, so when your name is flying around or if they need to call and reach out to you, they have a name in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is John Lamont. I'm a licensed attorney in Rhode Island, licensed to practice in state and federal courts. I have a solo practice in Rhode Island. Currently, I'm primarily focused on confidential corporate investigations, that type of work. I've been in practice for about a year. Prior to that, I spent 22 years with the Rhode Island State Police. I retired as a captain with the State Police. My last position held there, excuse me, was in charge of the, essentially the Internal Affairs Unit. I would handle all the confidential investigations made against troopers or civilian employees of the State Police. I also worked routinely with other police departments on confidential internal affairs types of matters. Prior to that position, I was the Assistant Detective Commander. I oversaw the entire detective division for the State Police. Prior to that, I ran the Rhode Island State Police Financial Crimes and Public Corruption Unit, where I worked for approximately 10 years, working, again, financial crimes and public corruption cases throughout the state. I've worked with state, local, and federal authorities, and intimately familiar with the different services that each agencies can provide.
Great. Well, the presentation you gave to the Audit Committee I know that everybody was pleased, and we appreciate you coming in. And one of the primary things that Attorney Lamont will be doing is running the whistleblower program. So we went over how that program works. Everything still remains confidential with the attorney. He will be reviewing the whistleblower complaints, and he will keep everything confidential and vet those out and, you know, take the proper course of action with those complaints. So we appreciate you coming and having interest in wanting to work and be the attorney for the audit committee. So-
Thank you. I'd just like to address that one of my major roles with the state police was vetting complaints, whether they came into me through the financial crimes or public corruption unit or the internal affairs unit. Part of what I learned through the state police is how to address those issues appropriately, how to vet them. Sometimes it's a difficult task to determine if they're civil, criminal, or administrative. And I believe that that's where I can help you in that situation.
Great. We appreciate it. I'm sure there's some waiting for you, too. So, thank you. Does anyone have any other questions for Attorney Lamont? Well, we appreciate it and welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for your patience tonight, too.
Thank you.
Number 20.
What about the ones you skipped?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to them because those is just some for mine. I want to have Mr. Lombardi speak. Quickly, I'll just do item number 21. I'll entertain a motion to continue.
So moved. Second.
A motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 22, Mr. A. Raphael Lombardi, we received a letter requesting to speak to the town council regarding the following requests. Mr. Lombardi? How are you tonight?
Well, thank you. And you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. And the others? Everybody happy?
All
Good.
great.
Number one, I haven't received any information about the Gibbs Street problem.
What I'd like to give you is, I believe we just received it today, so if you don't mind, if we give it to you, you can take it home, review
Okay,
it.
because I emailed Kelly Morris and I didn't get a return, and
Well,
she...
you can thank Joe Rendine, our clerk, for getting it for you, as he said he would.
Thank you very much. Okay, after I read that, we'll go from there. How's
Okay.
that? All right?
The second item, the clarification of ownership of the Google money belonging to the taxpayers, not the police department.
Right. It's my understanding, and I just want a clarification, and I was happy to hear that you had some sort of consensus between the town council and the mayor. Okay? I don't quite understand how the police department enters into this, except that they were instrumental in the investigation. But it is my understanding, based on information that I received from the Justice Department, that that money is taxpayers' money, not the policeman's money or the police department's money.
It is taxpayer money, you're right.
Okay, and just coincidentally today, I read in the papers, I don't know if you have, that the former police chief, we had a review of the case where he took money that did not belong to him and generously passed it on to another police officer. And when Mr. Martinelli was here that night, I didn't quite understand all that was going on, but to me there was quite a show of force displayed there, almost to the point of bullyism, and absolutely no regard for Mr. Raymond Manzalillo's reputation, only for Chief Martinelli's reputation, Mr. Manzalillo never mentioned his name.
That's two separate.
Okay, and Mr. Manzalillo, excuse me, I am speaking.
We're in two separate issues here.
Hold on. Ju-
Okay, so.
We're talking about the clarification of the Google money belonging
Okay,
to
so,
taxpayers,
okay, I'm going off the
right?
subject there, but I mean, the
So
money.
you jump to number 3.
Now we're
to
on
the
number 3. The
proprietary?
propriety, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, where
Can
Mr.
we
Martin.
address number 2, finish up on number 2?
right.
Yeah, he's done with 2.
So the clarification, so you're done with number 2, we're
Well,
on
insofar
number
as you
3.
say it is the taxpayers' money, therefore, what propriety is there in Mr. Martinelli appearing before you and getting money approved so that he can be passing it on now to the former state trooper who was the head of the Hopkinton Police Department? In other words, he gave taxpayers' money to the town of Hopkinton, and he also gave money to the town of Johnston.
Well, just so I will clarify that for you, the town of Johnston, Chief Modellini, did come in front of the council, I believe, in January,
I was here.
and he asked this council for permission. He didn't come before us and ask to send $150,000 to Hopkinton. Right when the Department of Justice received the notification from the council and the town solicitor claiming that each entity was the governing body, that's when they froze the money, and that $150,000 was not sent. So that did not go yet, and it
Oh.
will not go until, as you heard me say this evening, the Department of Justice is coming to have a joint meeting with everyone.
Well,
So
that
that
sound-
money did not leave yet.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm
Okay.
very happy to hear that there is a meeting with the Justice Department because it did accept Mr. Manzalillo's 20 years of experience and expertise in the field.
Right, thank you. All right, so are we on number 4? The removal of trees and shrubs.
I just want to make another comment that the mayor did appear here to get your consensus or approval of a complex of a what do you call it, a fire police
Public safety building.
safety building. Thank you. When he easily could have had his own indoor firing range. You know, here we are going to give this money to Johnston because they have the only indoor firing range. I mean, most people use the National Guard firing range, and there is no inside. And
Sir, if I may interrupt you there?
Yes.
If I may. In reference to that, why the public safety complex, that has not been approved yet. There's no building plans. So to put that off for a couple of years, or 3 years, 4 years, that's why we agreed with the police department that it's much more cost-effective for North Providence to join with Johnston in a range that's already built for $60,000 rather than build a range inside the maybe new safety public complex that hasn't even been approved, no plans yet, that may never come about. So this all came down to officer safety and what's more cost-effective for the town. So actually, we saved the town some money and maybe some officers' lives.
okay. By the way, that wasn't even done by the first due date in June, and it wasn't done down in Johnston by November 1st either. But anyhow, that's beside the point. So I take it you know what you're talking about, and then in the long run, it would have been more cost effective to let Johnston have the indoor rather than build it afresh with our own. Okay.
Which we never get approved.
I see.
That's why it's more
Yeah.
cost-effective now to get this done. And this is for officer safety, by the way.
I see. Well, it just didn't seem too smart to have that kind of thinking. You're going to build a complex and then you give money away for somebody else to have a firing range. So I understand that a little better now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so number 4.
Yeah. Now
The trees and the shrubs on the curb,
I'm trying.
Woodard.
Yeah, I'm trying to make some money for Northeastern, but I've seen two. I know of two.
Hey, I represent that remark.
I'm only kidding.
And are you talking no, seriously, Raphael, the gray house on the bend there, right? Is that-
Well, I know of two accidents that occurred there on that curve. More recently, a motorcycle accident. And when I looked at the situation there, there's a massive tree there that
On
really...
the other side.
Yeah, you're
Not
going...
on your side, on the other side.
You're leaving Mineral Spring and you're going through up, so it's on the right.
So it's on the right.
Yeah, that's why I say
Right on the corner.
585 and 589 on that side. And I've seen pedestrians walk, and it's very, very hazardous. There's no place to really walk there. And I just wondered with a surveyor or somebody that would see where the boundary lines. This town has no respect for sidewalks. I mean, those who have sidewalks, I don't know how they got them, but
We, at about 3 years ago, we had a meeting with some of the neighbors over there, and we were going to put a flashing arrow on the telephone, on one of the poles.
Oh.
And once some of the neighbors found out that we were going to put an arrow, and basically what they were saying is, it's gonna be blinking in my window. Well, yeah, that's a flashing arrow. So you can't have an arrow to prevent cars and keep your shades up because you're gonna see the arrow at night. And some people didn't like that, so if that's a concern of yours, maybe we could address that again.
yeah, well, I just thought, as I said, in the town of North Providence, sidewalks are not all over the place
Right,
like
that's
they
a
are
whole
in
nother
Providence.
issue. We won't go
Okay, so
Right.
if there is room for a sidewalk, for the few people that do walk, for their own safety, there should be a space there for them to walk
Yeah, but
without...
if they walk on your side, they have ample amounts of room, no?
Well, yeah, not that
Right.
much either. You have to walk on Louis Quizet territory to really be safe from that
But on your
situation.
side, there's 10 feet of open property, correct?
Well, I don't know how many feet. I didn't measure it.
Approximately.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, I just
But what
thought...
we can do is we can send DPW out again and look at that tree and those shrubs, because I believe the shrubs are on private property.
That may
was
very well
determined
be.
before.
Yeah, I did take a second look, and it did seem like it
Yes.
could be, but you never know from what the fences look like down the road and up the road, who knows where.
Okay.
So,
we all set with number 4?
yeah, and also, I think I had asked a long time ago for, and it was supposed to be, I guess the mayor's call to engage an engineer to decide on whether Gibbs Street would be, Angel Road would be one way. And evidently, there was no money available or there was no interest, but now I noticed from Councilman Brady that there was enough interest and money to get 2 engineers or whatever to do the Rosner Street. So whereas,
No, we didn't hire 2 engineers. What we did was, we had received 3 proposals, and we walked the engineers,
oh,
and we didn't hire 2 engineers.
Oh,
One
okay, I
of the
didn't understand.
proposals
Okay.
is on the, one of the proposals will be put forward for the entire neighborhood issue where those tractor-trailer trucks are driving. So,
okay.
in my personal opinion, we have a need for the town to have a permanent engineer, so we don't have to go out and hire, because if we look at all the services that we spend on an individual basis versus having our own engineer, which is something I will be reviewing, it may be more advantageous to have one on hand all the time to handle all these. So it would be sending a letter, asking our own engineer to go out,
Right.
review, and make the recommendation. But we don't have one on hand right now.
Yeah,
So-
that's a good point, and I was going to ask or mention about the legal aspect here, where you have let's say, a lawyer like Mr. Welch for the town council, then you have Mr. Galone for the mayor, and Mr. Galone's supposed to be the town solicitor. And I noticed that he was taking out of the charter, what would make the mayor the governing person, and then you people would have your argument for you being the governing body. So,
Well,
but-
when we have that joint meeting, I'll let you know, how's that? And we'll
I
continue to
would,
discuss
I'd
that.
appreciate that, yes.
Okay.
Because I want to put this
All
to
right,
bed.
so can we do number 5?
Yeah, number 5.
That's not a nice word, snow. It's coming soon, so let's see,
I
snow
know.
removal
Well,
services.
dirty snow, white snow. We had an accident not too long ago where a car went from Woodward Road and crashed right through an old man that passed out, crashed through into a garage in Louis Quizet. It so happened that that person was a resident, but had it been a non-resident, we have people going through Louis Quizet, you know, they're just passing through.
Okay, is that a private establishment? It says
No.
semi-private road.
I had Mr. Rendine research that, and the history is that Mr. Bakari and Mr. Mancini made a deal years ago, and and so the deal was that Nipmuc Trail would be a public road, but the Louis Quizet Association would maintain it. So how it's to be maintained, the building inspector had his definition. But
Okay, I just asked the clerk, in his findings, the town does not maintain that road.
no, well, I'm asking that it does maintain at least Nipmuc, and and Louis Quizet will take care of all the little side roads. We have a number of people, that is a semi-public road or semi-private. We could perhaps become independent. We are a little village or a borough. When you had Mr. Mark Russo here asking for tax stabilization, you have a certain number of people working at Fatima Hospital and so forth. We have been paying double taxes. In other words, $5,000 of taxes, plus we have to pay our condo fees, this, that, and the other assessments. So we are getting hit twice. I just ran a campaign to kill an amendment to get a total roads project in there. And I can't remember how many people asked me, well, what about the town of North Providence? You know, we pay taxes here.
What
You know,
I think
only
we
have-
would have to do, Mr. Lombardi, is look at all the private areas in the town. We wouldn't be able to just pick one and say Nipmuc Trail.
Right.
Because then the other associations and the condos would be asking us to do the same thing, and we would be discriminating against one if we picked one over the other.
You said the exact same words that the mayor did.
Wow, we agree.
You do it
I
for
think that's
Louis
great.
Quizet, you have to do it for one. See how you're on the same page. The point is, I haven't had time to go around and look at all the different condominiums, okay, like the one in Lee's Farm, whatever. And I would suspect that the proportion or the ratio of condominiums to miles of road, I think Louis Quizet will be an outlying statistic by itself somewhere. I know.
Well, I think we probably would definitely have to research it, but I don't see how we could do one over another. We'll
No.
take your comments into consideration. If
Yeah.
anyone on the committee, on the council, has any thoughts for the future, I don't as of right now, but I know the answer would be we can't do one and not all the others.
Right now,
So-
like where Mr. Warren lives, the truck goes down there, he has to back all the way up. He could easily go right around that little cul-de-sac and be out of there without too much sweat. And there could be some sort of a compromisal thing, either a tax write-off, tax lower, something. But we only have maybe 2 kids in the whole Louis Quizet Association that go to school. So we don't really, we're paying for roads. I live in the Templex. I don't even use those roads so much up there on the main campus, okay?
That's a
So I
private
have
road,
to
Mr.
pay.
Lombardi, that's a private road. We can't plow a private road.
Well, again,
can't
it's
plow a
not
private
strictly a private. It's a private-public.
No, it's a private road.
No, I'm sorry, I have to disagree,
No,
Mr.
you got it right here. You said it's a
Ducey.
semi-private road. So that's a private road. You wrote it down. I didn't write it down.
Well, I
You wrote
said-
semi-private road. It's a private road.
Semi-private, that
Yeah.
means
It's a
public-private.
road. We can't plow private roads.
All right.
Our insurance won't cover us. Nothing will cover us.
Okay, now how about the public cars that are going through there? Okay, we've had policemen who have given tickets to people in Lewis Quizet.
The only way you can stop that, sir, is make it a gated community.
Please?
The only way you can stop other vehicles that don't live there, make it a gated community.
Yeah, well, I'm in favor of that, but on the other hand, we have to get, 2/3 of the people to agree to it. And I did check with the chief of the fire, and as long as you have one of those little, I forget what you call those little gimmicks for the fire police to go in there, it can be done.
Well, I think this item, to be honest with you, we'll take it under advisement. As Councilman Giusti said, it's not something we can do. We could talk about it all evening in hopes that we would say, yes, we try to do something, but I think it's out of our hands right now.
And
Right.
that goes along with the next one of yours, 6. We
Yeah.
can't give a senior break to just the seniors at Little Quistit without giving them to everybody in the town.
Well, as I said, we put a lot of money into the town with our taxes and so forth. And like, as I say, Mr. Mark Russo came here for a tax stabilization, at least a fixed. And I'm just asking for, since there seems to be no end to different ideas of how to spend Google money, one way would be to help the senior citizens who are on a fixed income. And I am here to represent them. I told them that I would try to do something for them. We're getting hit with higher and higher taxes and telephone bills and so forth and so on.
I think the senior discount that we would have to look into, and Councilman Warren, I know he has looked into it, is something we would have to do for all the seniors,
And right
not
now-
just Lewis Quistit.
If I may, Council President.
Yes.
Right now, that's before the Ordinance Committee and the Finance Committee.
Oh, it
So we're
is?
looking at the numbers to see if we can bring tax relief to the seniors.
Okay.
Your golden years shouldn't be living in the red years, sir.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to pitch this toward the condominium people, if that's possible, if there's a way.
Well, once again, just to say Lewis Quistit would receive a tax break, I think we would have a public outcry for picking one place over another, and I'm sure you understand that, so.
When I get a block of time, I will do the legwork, and I will do my research on that. And I already have the list wherever it is, and then I will go visit and see what the story is. And maybe I'll see Mr. Rendine.
Okay.
And he can tell me from the records what the ratio is, the number of people, the number of condos, and the number of miles, that kind of a thing.
I'm sure he's looking forward to doing that.
I'm sure he can't wait.
You
Well-
can do that when you, Joe, when you come back, you can do that.
Yeah.
I just have to make one motion. I'm going to entertain a motion on number 4 to send a correspondence to DPW to review that situation and get back to the
Second.
council. Motion made by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Well, I just want to say, I haven't read this, I'm not a rapid reader like that, but I can imagine when Councilman Brady was speaking, I imagined this big trailer truck going down Rosner and around that Thelma area, and I see also in my mind this big school bus going down this little narrow Angel Road. So that, in a parallel situation, warrants an engineer or something to be done, especially when I understand the owner of that 8 Gibbs was cited in a violation a number of years ago, and for some reason just sloughed it right off and still gets away with it. So what, I don't know whatever this says. Can you give me a quick summary, Mr. Rendine, of what this says?
Is it possible for you to read it, and if you want to come back next month?
Next month, this has been going since August. I've been asking about this street.
But we just have a number of other articles on it. We still got quite a bit of a
Okay.
agenda left.
It's
All
not
right.
fair to you, Raphael, if you don't take that home and digest it to fully understand it and then come back next month.
All right, thank you. Thank you very
There's
much.
some technical information.
Thank you
Right.
very much.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Item number 15, thank you. Jeffers Street, I request a quick discussion and possible vote on flooding issues at 33 Jeffers Street. When it rains, you can use a canoe in front of this resident's home. Yesterday, I went down there in the rain, and the DPW Director, Bernie Salvatore, was instructed to go down by Chief Foster. He told me he would review it and get back to the council. So at this time, I would just like to send a letter asking for a determination on how they can relieve the drainage issues on Jeffers Street.
So moved. Second.
A motion's been made by Councilman Audiello, seconded by Councilman Warren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I apologize. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. It's getting late. Item number 16, request a discussion and possible vote concerning the recreational parks and town recreational grants. There was going to be a woman here this evening. I do not see her. She wasn't able to make it. She had passed around some information via email for Stephen Only Park and the deplorable condition that it is in. I also had several residents complaining about Stephen Only Park. They held the state girls softball championships there in August, and they had a petition because of the conditions of the park and the ball fields. I also have correspondence from a gentleman who runs the program at Evans Field. He said that he's been doing this for over 30 years. This is right on a main street, Evans Field, and it should look like a showplace, and it's deteriorated over the years. The number of teams that have been at that park have decreased from 30 to 5 teams. And if we do not do something with that park, we will not have any of those recreational teams here next year. I do know that we've approved a lot of grant money in the past. What I'd like to do is entertain a motion to request in the last 3 years all the recreational grants and where they have gone to what parks. So I'd like to make that motion, entertain that motion to send that to the administration and CC also Lisa Andoja as the grant writer, and ask that we get that back before the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. All of those in favor?
Aye.
All of those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item 17, discussion and possible vote concerning an update regarding Elliott Avenue and surrounding streets flooding issue. I spoke with Chief Forza. He said that the next step, they did get the engineer, as we all know. We asked last month what their plan of action was. Chief Forster said the only plan of action they could take is if the mayor and the council agreed to fix the problem. So we don't have any idea how much the problem is. He said that the purchasing agent would have to go out to bid. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to send a letter to the mayor requesting that we get a bid proposal on how much it would cost to fix this drainage issue on Elliott Avenue.
So moved. Second.
A motion's been made by Councilman Audiello, seconded by Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 23, we received a letter from David Westcott concerning Azad Court. Chief Forster reached out to Laurie Spangler, and she stated that the lights on Azad Court would be taken care of expeditiously. Item 24, We received correspondence from Glenn Correnti, the Public Works Director, concerning the pavement of Azad Court. What we received was the bond that was actually taken out. The gas lines have been put in. It is ready for completion. So I'd like to entertain a motion to send correspondence along with the bonds to the DPW Director, Bernie Salvatore, and ask him to contact the contractor to complete the paving of the streets in this new development.
So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. I did just think of one thing. They have already sent a letter to the contractor, so it would be for him to follow up with them. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 25, motor vehicle abatements with corresponding addendas, October 7, 2014. The new total for 9/6/2013 equals $692.09. I'll entertain a motion to correct the October 7th, 2014 abatement list of $707.93, which was printed in error, and the correct total is $692.09 to abate.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Juicy, seconded by Councilman Lynch. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Item 26, uncollectible taxes. We received a letter from the tax collector, Claudette Mooney, concerning the statute of limitations for collection of the tax in the state of Rhode Island for discussion and possible vote. I'll entertain a motion to deem uncollectible $3,664.37 and remove from the accounts receivable list for any real estate balance for the bill year of 2003.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Juicy, seconded by Councilman Lynch. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Tax abatements, discussion and action with possible vote concerning a list of tax abatements under $1,000. I'll entertain a motion to abate real estate in the amount of $284.56, motor vehicle abatement, total $3,854.65, and tangible abatements totaling $98.36.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Brady, seconded by Councilman Warren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Tax addendas, discussion and possible vote concerning a list of tax addendas received from the acting tax assessor. I'll entertain a motion to approve real estate addendas for $17,484.58, motor vehicle addendas totaling $8,980.46, tangible addendas totaling $395.48.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Lynch and Juicy, seconded by Councilman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Tax abatements with corresponding addendas. Discussion and vote concerning a list of the abatements. I'll entertain a motion to approve $786.27.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Audiello, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 30, tax addenda, corresponding abatements. Discussion and vote concerning a list of addendas with corresponding abatements. I'll entertain a motion to approve real estate for $2,525.78 and motor vehicles for $786.27.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Councilman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Warren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 31, tax abatements over $1,000. Council discussion and possible vote concerning a list of abatements exceeding $1,000 received from the acting deputy assessor. Tax abatements over
Make a motion, we send this to the audit committee, finance committee, I'm sorry.
You know, I did have a question, I just wanted to double check. Did we do these the other night, John? Didn't we say we were sending them automatically? Anyone's over 1,000, so it didn't go to the council and then to the finance committee? Didn't we make that motion? I don't know if these are in your,
I don't think they are.
yeah, because I don't think that they
No,
went
I
right
didn't-
there, so
we-
these.
No, these are
Okay.
new.
All right, I just wanted to make
Right.
sure. All right, so Manny, your motion?
To send to the finance committee.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Motion made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The Financial Audit Committee reports, we've already taken care of that, right, Councilman?
Yes.
The Finance Committee report, council discussion and action regard to the Finance Committee report presented by Councilman Lynch. Councilman?
Yep, thank you, Madam President, members of the committee. I'd like to make a motion that we approve as presented the Finance Committee report.
Second.
A motion's been made by Councilman Lynch, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. 34, the claims. We received claims from Pauline Finnegan by Attorney Charles Vucci, Gemma Law Associates, 231 Reservoir Avenue, Providence, 02907, and Louis Capricata, 3 Howard Avenue, Apartment 6, North Providence. I'll entertain a motion to refer these two claims to the Claims Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilwoman Brady. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. In item 35, we will continue to the next month when we receive an updated letter.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Councilman Audiello, Councilman Lynch, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. That's it, gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.